Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week, has Weekly Shonen Jump finally found an Exorcist manga that doesn't make me want to rip my hair out? We'll find out when we talk about Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. We're also going to talk about the cutest little doggy in manga this week with Shiba Enu Rooms, and we're going to revisit Machi and Oboro, which continues to be one of the funniest manga around. All that, manga news, and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and this week I am joined again by my constant co-host, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
Let's get right in, Gautam. We have, surprise, another Exorcist manga from Weekly Shonen Jump premiering this week. This is Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi by Soichi Usui. You read this, right?
I did. I read the first two chapters.
Cool. Yeah, the second chapter hit this morning when we're recording. So, how do you feel about it? Let's get your take, and then I'll give mine.
I anticipated that I would hate it, and I actually kind of liked it. It was fun. It's 100%. I feel going to be canceled. It's like the second Exorcist comedy, and like the 80th Exorcist manga that Shonen Jump has put out.
Yeah, someone did the math. I think in the past 3 years, this is like legitimately, I think this is the 14th Exorcist manga that has premiered in Weekly Shonen Jump.
Yeah, and there was like Spirit Busters earlier, so there's been more Exorcist comedies, but this is like the second in a row Exorcist comedy. But for what it was, I liked it more than all of the other Exorcist things I read. Recently.
I actually agree with you. I actually think this is pretty good. Like this, I'm with you in that I don't know if this survives, just because I think most people will be like, "Oh my gosh, another Exorcist manga." I don't even have the willingness to attempt to consume it. This to me is kind of like what Weekly Shonen Jump was for years and years, and what it should be, in that it's like, it's fun. It's like, I mean,
it's fun.
It's fun, yeah. Right? Like, it's fun, and it has action, and it has like a little bit of comedy that's like not bad. Like, this is like decently funny. It kind of has that whole sort of like, the thing that all these other Exorcist manga are missing is that they're trying. I mean, recently they've been trying to emulate Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Which is much more darker. It's hype, but Jujutsu Kaisen is not a fun series, right? It is not. I would not classify it as fun in the way that something like One Piece, or even something like Naruto, or even like Bleach at the start. It was like, Bleach was like pretty fun. I've read the first 20 chapters of it or whatever. It is pretty fun at the start. But this one is like, it's having fun, and it's also got cool action in it, and the art is got some style to it. That style might be a direct ripoff of Okubo. This is pretty much just, if I were to give you a premise of Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, it is pretty much One Punch Man meets Soul Eater.
Yeah.
That's kind of exactly what it is.
The moon even reminds me of Soul Eater.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing that is sort of like, I don't think I grabbed that panel because it was like the first color panel didn't really say anything. But yeah, they literally have a moon that's like, oh, that's the Soul Eater moon. Like, it just has like, it has
and
the
same with the
on.
building. It looks like the opening to Soul Eater, but it's like, I think you're right. It's like, it feels very Soul Eater and Fire Force. I enjoyed my time with it because I think it's like good to start out with like a character flaw. You know?
For sure. I think that the we can sort of go through chapter 1 here, and we'll talk about things you like about it. We meet our main character. His name is Kiyoshi Harai. He's an exorcist. He has like, he talks about, he's like, I have incredible abilities. I'm the valedictorian. He's 16 years old. He received his first assignment, but he's like, he's scared witless. He's just terrified of the demons and the devils he has to exorcise. So that's kind of his big thing. It's a good
gag because it's like completely counter to how his character looks. You know, he looks like,
you think like, oh, he's a certified badass, and he's drawn like that in these first few panels, right? Like the blank face, the stare. He's got piercings.
The posture he's sitting in, you know.
Yeah, the tattoos, the rings, the posture. Yeah, everything he's got is like, oh yeah, he's a certified badass. And then he just like breaks character like 4 pages in. It's like,
this is like a character in an RPG who has like failed multiple checks in a row despite being overpowered. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I. I love it. I love the tattoos. Like, there's no like instant regret for even getting the tattoos.
Yeah, he's like, I can't not be an exorcist. Like, I can't take back this like incredibly intricate tattoo. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's just like it's having fun from page one. It's funny. Like he's like, I wanted to go to public baths. And the ghost here or whatever is like, well, some of them are okay with tattoos, and he gets like the sparkly, like cute face. Like, really? He's like, yeah, probably. And
The
then
777 tattoo is
it's
very
so
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good that he's like telling demons to come get some. The devil's number 666. And he's like, if you just wanted 666, you're off. It's like what you have is 777. It's so, like it's just fun and funny. It's like this is good. It's so refreshing to get an Exorcist manga that isn't like it's like just not. It's not trying to take itself too seriously. It's having some fun, and it's also just like it's executing on what it wants to do. It's fun. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's great.
This looks like it's going like this. Kind of reminds me more of Yu Yu Hakusho than I guess any other Exorcist manga because the protagonists are not similar at all, but the vibe is similar in that you are seeing the character flaw first and foremost, and you kind of relate in a very human way where it's not a blank slate character. It's a character with like anyone put in that position would be fucking terrified, and it's just a funny gag. I'm enjoying it. I think it starts out as a comedy and goes more serious as we keep going though.
Yeah, well, and I think you point out something that's really smart and good by the author, and that's that they don't start out by showing you the first thing they show you. They do tell you that like, oh, I graduated top of my class and I'm the biggest badass or whatever, but they don't show you him like exercising a demon first and then show you later that he has a flaw. They essentially show you his flaw like first thing, right? Like they tell you like, I graduated top of my class, I'm the best, and they immediately show you that he's scared. Like, and I think that's a better way to do it, to immediately lead with this person is afraid, this person is a demon exerciser and they're afraid of demons. Like that, leading with that, I think is incredibly smart. Is in most series don't do that, right? Most series would lead with they're a badass. Look at all the cool badass things they can do. And then later they're scared. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't relate to being a badass demon exerciser because that's not, a real thing. And most people don't feel like they're, a hyper badass at most things. But most people can feel like they're afraid of things. And so leading with that, I think, is incredibly smart, just in the order of presenting those. So
I also love it. He starts crying in the second page. And I also feel like he's like kind of a relatable teen with the tattoos situation, where he anticipated he'd be better at this than he actually is, and once he's in the real world, he's like regretting getting the tattoos because
it's like I made stupid decisions.
Yeah, at that point in his life, it was a good idea, and now it's not. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time.
It's good. Yeah, I liked it. He like exercises this demon, and it's like a
salary,
it's like a cute 40-something-year-old dad who's just like like a normal like dad thing. Like talks about his family, and we get a little bit of backstory and stuff, which is pretty kind of standard and all that. But yeah,
it's a whatever backstory, but they don't linger on it.
No, it's real quick. It's just sort of like, okay, here's your generic backstory. They get back to the gag, which is like, the demon is this like, super nice dad who didn't really want to possess this little girl. He was like, told to by the demon lord or whatever. And he's like, it's okay, man. You don't have to cry. Like, exercise me. Like, it's not pity. It's like, he says like sooner or later, a low ranking demon like me is going to get exercised by someone. It's like, if that's the case, I'd rather be. He's like very like, dad vibes, comforting and stuff.
Yeah. That was solid. And you read chapter 2?
Mm-hmm. I don't have any pictures of it, but chapter 2 I thought was also really good. I like the side characters introduced were good.
Yeah, exactly. It was more of the same, and it looks like one of the gags is that most people are going to assume he is this hyper competent badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, that's clearly not the case. He is a hyper competent badass, but like nobody knows he's like cripplingly afraid of his job.
It's similar, like I mentioned, One Punch Man. It's not exactly the same, but Saitama from One Punch Man is absolutely the guy who can end any fight in a single punch, is hyper competent, very strong. But he's also like, he just wants like to be recognized. Like he just wants people to recognize that he's a cool hero and like look up to him and stuff. That's like a big part of his motivations. And this guy in chapter 2, we learn it's like he just kind of wants friends and wants, like, he wanted to be there for graduation and he was late. All these like very like, you mentioned this also, but he has all these very sort of like normal teen wants and desires. Of I want to make friends. I want to, have a fun high school life. I want a good job. I don't want to be scared by demons. Which is all like, which is like super relatable. And then, but he's then also got, sort of the badass stuff. On top of all that. So
yeah, agreed. And there was this funny line in chapter 2 where like this demon beats up all of his classmates and he's late, right? And he shows up and he says, "How dare you beat up all my classmates and friends?" And in parentheses it says pending.
Yeah, pending.
Yeah.
And then like the other guy who was like this, like salutatorian or whatever, like the second place guy in class is like, "You're my rival now," blah blah blah. So,
yeah, exactly.
I'm curious to keep reading it and see where it goes, because I do think the first 2 chapters of this I thought were really strong. And on top of all that, on top of all the good sort of humor and character and relatability stuff, when the action does start happening, I actually think it's pretty sick, pretty cool. It is very, awesome. Again, I do think it is very Soul Eater kind of coded. But like the names for his attacks, I think, are some of the coolest names I've seen.
All,
it's like
Greek mythos names.
Yeah, it's like Moonrise Kingdom, like Artemis, and Hades. Yeah, it's like are you actually the strongest exorcist ever? It's great. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like very cool, very nice, very good spreads. I think the art in it is, dynamic enough. This is sort of Weekly Shonen Jump kind of standard fare, but yeah, I don't know.
I dug it. I like that. It seems like the author likes defying like these standard archetypes, these character archetypes, by making this like badass tattooed, overpowered MC just be like a huge scaredy cat, and like the salutatorian in the second chapter, who's this glasses guy, the second best guy, is just this kind of shitter. He has this shit-eating grin on the whole time.
Yeah,
like. I don't know how to describe it. He's the most cartoony looking character when he's smiling. He looks like a scam artist a little bit. Like that's what he's drawn like. So yeah, I anticipate like as this series keeps going, it's just going to be like character archetypes flipped on their heads.
Yeah, here's the shitty green this guy. Yeah. But
I dig that character design. It's fun.
It's good. There's this whole thing about like the dad demon teaches him like, "Oh, take a deep breath when you have it," which kind of comes back around. It's like a really good. I also just have to praise this opening chapter for not, for just sort of, and we've talked about this in the past with all the chapter 1s that we go over, with just sort of telling a complete story arc in chapter 1 that's kind of about. And not worrying about origin story in chapter 1, right? We don't know how he became this powerful. We get like 1 page of his backstory about his parents dying, but that's sort of like, you could have guessed that 99 times out of 100, the parents are dead. But it just sort of did like, he was called to a job. He did the job, he killed one of the 13 demons or whatever. We see how strong he is, and it ends. Like it's a sort of a self-contained little story arc thing. We don't have to go through. Yeah, and this is like a much better way. It also shows you like, okay, if it's not, I don't think gonna really be Demon of the Week, Monster of the Week or whatever. But again, just starting with like a full complete story arc is so much better than trying to start at the beginning of your story. Like in media res, in the middle of your story, it's better to start there to show me that you know how to tell a complete story than proving to me that you know how to start a character from nothing. Right? Starting a character from nothing is less interesting in my opinion. So. Yeah,
the author very intentionally knew that like we needed to have fun with this first chapter.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. I also love that the head priest has like hair and facial hair that looks like a cross.
It's like in the shape of a cross. Yeah, he's again the design in this I think is all good. I don't think it's definitely not quite on the level of Okubo, Soul Eater, Fire Force author mangaka there.
I agree.
But I think that it's channeling it in the right way and sort of redirecting that energy and style through Weekly Shonen Jump, which kind of, has its own sensibilities. The thing that I'm really worried about is I'm worried that no one's going to read this because there have just been so many Exorcist manga, and this is actually the good one, right? Like, it took them, 14 tries to get another good Exorcist manga since Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, and we finally hit on one that has its own style, its own identity. It is pretty well executed, and I'm worried that everyone's just going to be like, I can't believe there's another one. I'm not even going to read it. Or they read it and, it's like, okay, I don't know. I'm worried about this because I hope that people don't ignore this, because I think that they hit on something that I think, even if I don't stick around in the long run, like, I think this is something that feels very Shonen Jump to me. And I think that it kind of belongs in the magazine. Just because it's that, like you mentioned, it's fun. It's like, it's got that Yu Yu Hakusho vibe. It's got that, to me, it's got the kind of like One Piece, like it's fun, it's serious, and it has good action. I don't know. It's not on the level of those, of course, but I don't know. It has the right vibes. It did the right things. I really enjoyed this. I really hope people don't skip on Kiyoshi, because I think the series has some legs. So
yeah, so far so good. I think it's it takes effort because we went in with the disposition that this would be bad, right? Like we expected, but the fact that it proved us wrong here, I think, means something good. With that said, I think it's going to get the axe because of it being the billionth Exorcist manga in a row.
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, maybe it does hit, and the Weekly Shonen Jump is proved correct in their idea of shotgun blasting out as many Exorcist manga as they could, and when one finally hits, it's a big hit.
Maybe. I do feel like people should maybe stop doing cursed arms or glowing arms. Too many glowing arms these days.
Yeah.
That one, Yakuza one, I feel like it's all just Devil May Cry. They just take Nira's whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. The fact that they try so many means that there's bound to be some repeat power systems or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else about this series? Anything else about Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi?
Yeah, it was a fun time.
It was good. I think it's a good point that you and I both came into this with like, well, this is going to be awful. We're going to hate it. And the fact that we were both coming out the other side thinking like, this is actually pretty good. I think this might actually be better than we're thinking. I think that, I think by the end of at the end of first volume, right around chapter 6 or 7, we'll have to see if it's like, if it continues up this quality of, I think, these first 2 chapters, I'll be pretty impressed. And I'm happy to be proven wrong that Weekly Shonen Jump can do an Exorcist series that's not garbage like New A's Exorcist. So yeah.
So far, it's been mainly a comedy, and I think that's great. I hope it keeps being fun for a little bit before it starts taking itself seriously, which I think it will. Mainly because I think it's important that the audience have a good time and get invested in like the characters and how they react to different goofs before you start putting them in serious situations.
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely, I think the things that I would compare this to, like, absolutely Soul Eater, Fire Force, the other things by Okubo, because Okubo is a master, in my opinion, of making things fun and making you kind of have a good time, even when they get serious. There's still a little bit of humor dripped in there. There's still a little bit of goofiness. It feels like this is going to be a similar kind of series. Again, as long as the consistency can be there. And yeah, when we get to more serious moments, more serious storylines, if the humor and the fun can stick around, which we'll see.
It's like, I think Okubo has proved that you don't have to have a good plot in order to make a good series. True. Because I don't even like the Soul Eater plot. I just love the character.
Fire Force is very, it's fine. It does what it needs to do, but the Fire Force plot is not anything to write home about. It's really all about characters and fun in that series for me, which both of them are just 10 out of 10. So,
so we'll see where this goes.
Cool. All right, let's hit up the next one. This one I was incredibly pleased. I had a ton of fun with. This is a brand new series on Manga Plus called Shiba Inu Rooms. This is by author Esu Omori. Got to remember my Japanese pronunciations. Esu Omori. This, man, when I saw this, I was like, oh, is this going to be? I didn't know what to expect going into this one, and I liked it a lot. Gautam,
It was a good time. It was a good time.
You read this too? Cool.
I enjoyed it. I like how stupid that fucking Shiba Inu looks. He's so cute.
God, yeah, it's like
dumb looking.
It feels very kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like the comedy is all in the art, which I think is difficult to do in manga, but super well executed here. We meet our main character whose name, Kori Momose. She has this kind of quirk where she's like, oh yeah, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm numb to horror. Is like, this is like, if you did the conversion rate, this is like $30 a month for rent.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is like crazy. Like, okay, yeah, but it's haunted by something, so that's why she's being rented out. And they're like, this is what it's being haunted by. It's essentially the ghost of this Shiba Inu. He's attached to this, and it's so funny because it's like the first time you see him, he's so mad, and then there's an idea in animation called squash and stretch, which if you watch a lot of the old Mickey Mouse, Tom and Jerry, stuff like that, you kind of know the characters kind of squash, stretch. They're not what's called on model, right? On model is like a human looks like this. Don't make their arm too big or their legs too short, or don't make them go shorter or taller. But in animation, in the kind of old Disney animation type stuff, and Warner Bros. Stuff too, squash and stretch is very much used for like effect and comedy and storytelling purposes of like, a character's about to attack, you like stretch them in one direction and have them squash when they, have a hammer come down or something. And the dog in this, in Shiba Inu Rooms is like the squishiest, stretchiest character I've maybe ever seen on page. He's just, the face is so malleable and so emotive. And it's just like, that's not on model, but it looks goofy. And it gets even better later on when it does. Like, again, it's just like the top right panel here. Like his eyes are like crossed going up. The brow is furled way too low, but it's like, it's so funny because of it.
It's so funny. I feel like Shiba faces carry this chapter, and that's totally fine. I love it. Also, like the girl being not really a dog person, like, works for the plot too. I like this.
It's a goofy gag. Yeah, it's a goofy gag, and it's like, oh, I don't mind ghosts, and she's like, it's a Shiba Inu, and he's like, oh, I do hate dogs though, by the way, so I have to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she, the next door neighbor, I also think is good. It's a lot of contrasting traits and characters, right? The girl is very kind of stoic, straight up, kind of emotionless, and the dog is this like very kind of angry, emotive thing, and the guy next door is the like most happy-go-lucky dude. And that's what I think. I think that kind of thing makes really good comedy, just as a base. You see this,
foils, right?
Yeah, foils, and just foils is good, but like, what's the like tension between characters with very different personalities brings comedy. We bring up Kaguya a lot because it's just one of the best modern comedies, but the difference between a character like Fujiwara and Kaguya, where one is very straight laced, straight up and down, or president or whatever, and then Fujiwara being kind of this happy-go-lucky chaotic demon, like those types of frictions in storytelling are really good. So
I love that scene where he accidentally helped one of the dogs ascend by being too affectionate.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like sad about that. And she fully doesn't understand because she sees it as a good thing that like a spirit gets sent to heaven.
And he's like broken up about it, but this kind of gets our first chapter moving. Is she goes, oh, okay, if I can just be nice to the dog and it'll ascend to heaven, and they have a really low tolerance, for kindness, like this, like my neighbor is saying. She goes, oh, okay, I'll move in, I'll be nice to the dog, it'll go away. Boom, I've got a $30 a month rent thing. So on day one, I'll pet it for as long as it takes and send it off right to heaven. Yeah, but it's great. But once the dog gets into it, and she actually starts trying to be nice to it, I actually think, like, in addition to this being funny, I think the story told in the first two chapters is really good, and kind of there's a little bit of nuance to it. It isn't just straight comedy and gags. The dog bites her. There's this interesting kind of storyline of the dog like bites her and then attacks. We get a little backstory of it was like a breeding thing and the building is like burned down or something. She tries to give it a bone. It like chunks the bone in her head. Uh,
Yeah, and she tries like a bunch of stuff, and the dog is just a brat.
yeah,
And ultimately, you learn that she has like this spirit on here, and she calls an exorcist. It's an
yeah. The
exorcist
Exorcist 2
manga.
again is like another sort of like super peppy. This other clearly
We
knows what they're doing because it's like
we
my
love
main
our
character.
exorcism.
Yeah, I thought The Exorcist was great. The main character is this sort of stoic, straight laced, no nonsense kind of person. It's like surround him with goofballs. Like the
No, I was
dog.
just saying we have so much exorcist shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like it's in
I didn't
everything.
even think about it. Yeah, this is also an Exorcist series. Hey, 2 good Exorcist series this week. Yeah, but I just like that it's like the main character straight laced, the neighbor's goofy and is all get out. The Exorcist also is this bright, peppy type girl. So, yeah, but like you were saying, we get the twist of like, oh, she's the one who's haunted by a bunch of snake spirits. It's like it's a 5-headed serpent. It's like, oh, it looks like 3 of the heads already went away, and it's like, oh, because the dog actually like was helping when she thought it was attacking her, which kind of again, the dog maybe wouldn't be as sympathetic if it was like, oh, the dog is just mean, like it's just a mean
Yeah.
dog. But instead it's like, oh no, the dog was actually kind of nice. And I like that they kind of make the dog is essentially like a massive tsundere, right? Like
Yeah.
where it's kind of like, I'm not
It
gonna
makes
love
sense.
you, but I do
It's a
like
Shiba
you.
Inu. Shiba
Yeah,
Inus are all like temperamental. They're like cats.
They're really like smart and sassy. Yeah, they'll kind of do their own thing. Yeah, but again, it's just like it gets super cute. It's like I'd understand if someone like me was the last person you want as owner. He's like, no, it's cool. It's like all those other humans are so damn noisy and excitable. He's like, I like you better. And she's like, I like this is actually I didn't even realize it. This is actually like the first time the dog talks, and she's like, hello again, did you have a good talk? He's like, I sure did, because he can literally talk. He's like, oh, did I not mention that? Like all of the Shibas in this building can talk, which again is I think it's another fun, funny layer.
Yeah, I like how he just like his first words are just like it's cool.
Yeah,
He's like
he's
very
"It's
chill
cool."
about it.
And her reaction face to this is like is great. I think the art in this, I don't want to be like the art is carrying it, but I really like the humor in the art here. I think the art's really good.
It was fun. I think the only thing I didn't love is I actually liked like most things about this.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't love is I thought her backstory is a little dumb about why she's afraid of dogs.
Oh, like yeah, her like yeah, the dog's like attacking her and her friends or whatever. Yeah, that was kind of like whatever. It's one of those things that I feel like it's like a checkbox. Like, hey, in your chapter 1, you have to have flashback to tell us why your character's the way it is, and they're like, all right, sure. But yeah, it's again the goofy dog faces. Like you said, I was a bad dog. Does your hand hurt? It's like not really. It's like beaming. Like the beaming dog face is great. Yeah, and then I don't know. It's just like gets very sweet at the end of this first chapter. It's like do you want to ascend? And it's like in that world would you be there? And she's like, I would not. He's like, then screw that. And like gives this little like squished up face. He's like, stop talking and play with the ball. He's like, can I have another one of those bones? He's like, pet my head. He's like starting to be very kind of like forward and stuff. You stopped being creepy, but now you've gotten all cold. He's like, wrong. I was cold to begin with.
Yeah, it's a good premise. It's a good
it's
setup.
good. It's funny. It's sweet. It's heartfelt. I like this chapter 2 just as good. But yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for this one. Another good comedy series with the cute dog is I don't know. That's like it's all wins in my columns.
Agreed. This was a fun one.
All right, let's talk about Machi and Oboro. This is chapter 6 by Yuhra Ishito. We're back to more comedy. This time we're meeting another, how do I say this? Another person from Oboro's like ninja clan, I guess, ninja village, who's like a complete loser. Like absolutely, this guy is a miserable. He's a weirdo, which I think is, we've gotten a lot of in Machi and Oboro, and that everyone's kind of a weirdo, but it's the fun part. So
It's really funny. Our two incredibly weird characters have to play the straight man to this guy who is just incredibly bizarrely weird. He is the ultimate loser. You're right. You called it. It's he's like the most bizarrely pathetic character I've seen in a manga in a while, and I love him.
He's very funny. Yeah, I hope he
Yeah.
sticks around. Yeah, and I like you called out that's like, oh yeah, usually, Machi is the straight man and Oboro's the weird one, or they swap it up sometimes. And this time it's like, no, they both have to play straight against an even goofier person. I think that is a great dynamic for a comedy.
Yeah.
His big goal here is that like he saw Oboro's like 100 million or 100K view like dance or something that she put up, and he's like, I also want to go viral. It's like all these idiots with nothing but good looks and no talent getting all the attention. It's like, what about me? I'm better looking, smarter, stronger. I've got top-notch acting skills from all my infiltration missions. And they make him do like they make him put on like a performance of like, okay, you're a good actor. Let's show us your acting. He's like, I have some contacts in the entertainment industry. Like, if your acting is good, their plan is basically like, oh, we'll put him down and he'll be so crushed. Like, we'll just literally tell him he's so bad that he'll give up. And they tell him like, okay, you're a butcher trying to sell me meat. And he does like 3 of the weirdest takes on a butcher. He's like, hey, pretty lady, nice butt. Here's a little rump on the house. And he's like, I would never go to a butcher like that.
Yeah, and this is extra funny because he called them out on being sexist and having a gender bias like 2 pages ago.
Yep.
And so and then his like iteration of like this improv that they're doing to test him is like his iteration of a butcher is completely sexist and like creepy and sleazy.
It goes from like saying they have a nice butt to like being like a boy toy, like, still plays like
boy energy.
He also literally says like, let's see, with sexual harassment off the table. It's like, oh, I got it. Like he gets like another idea. It's like, you're mistaking eccentricity for originality. It's crude child. That was like putting him down. Glamorizing sexual harassment is not okay.
And his ultimate goal is just to freeload off of Oboro because he feels entitled to freeloading for whatever reason. In his brain, he feels like incredibly entitled. It's like, I deserve to just live with you and have everything paid for while I try to be successful.
It's a weird, great take on the like, I'm so great, so I deserve, all the praise and everything. But he's like, I'm so great, I deserve to not have to do anything and to leech off of other people, which is like, is original and new.
And his tragedy is that Machi's like, you should just get a job, man. And he's like, no, you can't say that. That's so fucked up.
Yeah. So I can't believe you would say that to me. But his 3 butchers are like a straight sexual harasser butcher, a like pretty boy flirts with you butcher, and then he goes straight into like horror movie murderer. The butcher straight from a horror movie.
That may have been his best butcher of the lot, but
I'll put you down to the last organ. And they're like, the police show up. It's like, what are you doing, sir? And I think Machi or somebody's like, I've never met this man in my life. He's trying to get me. It's like tactical retreat. I think he can cool off in jail for a while.
It's kind of funny because Oboro's situation is really not that much different than his, except she I guess she presents it differently. Because Oboro's just a freeloader too, but
she is, but she's
not an unhinged, pathetic loser.
I guess,
like
she is. Because she does, I think, also feel somewhat entitled to it in a way. Not in exactly the same way, but yeah. Just another good, funny chapter. I think this whole series has been great. I'm excited for it to keep going.
This was just a very weird character, and I appreciated that. It was bizarre.
Yeah. I hope that the direction of the series is that we get more and more of these kind of other unhinged people from Oboro's Ninja Village showing up, because I think that's like an easy win to just like, oh, make them a bunch of weirdos. They show up, bother her. It's great. So.
Yeah, it was just very funny. I think, I don't know how popular this is, but I hope it does well. I think the author writes comedy really well.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're not at volume 1 being published yet. Probably this chapter or next chapter will be the end, so we'll probably get volume 1 in 2 or 3 months here. We'll see how that sells. The volumes kind of speak louder for Manga Plus stuff, because stuff can get a lot of views. On Orange Jump Plus, I guess. Stuff can get a lot of views, but if it doesn't sell volumes, they don't really tend to care. Stuff like Kindergarten Wars popped off by selling a ton of volumes. So we'll see. I think, this is good. I think the girls are pretty and the art is really good in it. So maybe that gives it another little bump up. But yeah, I hope this does continue. This is something I could see having long legs to it. So
Yeah, I think this is like a really, it's funny and it has really strong character writing. So I hope it's doing well.
yeah, I hope it is too. We'll see. Cool. Anything else on Machi and Oboro?
Did you read that chapter where they're competing in like a talent off?
I did when it came out, but that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know. I think it's like a really good highlight of showing off the character's competencies and also like incompetencies at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're really good at X, but they're weirdos. They're just like
they're fucking weird.
Weirdos.
Like Machi was incredible at singing, but she could only sing this like
old
German anthem.
Yeah, the like really old song is like, that song is a song my grandma knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah. Yeah, good series. Cool. Let's hit up a little bit of news. There's not a whole lot this week, but a little bit. Go Loser Ranger got a second season of the anime. Sales and viewership still low on it, unfortunately.
Ranger Reject, you mean?
Yeah, Ranger Reject, but yeah.
Oh, that's sad. That's yeah. I didn't know. I actually had no idea until like a few weeks ago that Ranger Reject had terrible manga sales.
Yeah. Well, I mean, man, I don't want to curse it. The problem that I'm seeing is that the anime, I think people, they like went really fast. I mean, they got through like 40 chapters in like 12 episodes or something. So they're like really packing it in there, which affected the pacing, which people didn't like. I haven't actually watched it, but the good thing is, starting with this second season, we're in all great story territory. This is the Green Battalion, the school stuff, which is all great. So
this is what makes the series special. Like,
yeah, starting from here, like the start of the series, I think is strong. That first kind of major arc, the training thing, is honestly really not very good. And then from here on out, it's like, it's all bangers. It's all fire. So I hope people take another look at it after the second season comes out and people praise it. Because most of the discussion I've seen about Ranger recently has basically been, oh, this anime is kind of like okay, but not that good. And it's not increasing sales of the manga. So potentially a little bit of danger there. I don't think so. I think it's still in a range that Weekly Shonen Magazine is okay with, but who knows?
Yeah, it's saddening to hear. It's saddening to hear that it's like the lowest selling thing in the manga of the magazine.
Yeah, because this is
is so phenomenal.
One of our favorite things every week. This is like top 3. I mean, it's like One Piece, Dan, Ranger. Like every week, I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah, me too. And you know, like there's some weeks where I enjoy reading Ranger Reject more than One Piece.
Yeah,
and that's like only I almost that never happens. You know, like I always enjoy One Piece, and Ranger Reject just has some absolute banger chapters.
Yeah, it's such a good mystery, which is it's what Negi is really good at. I mean, even in Quintessential Quintuplets, which had a little bit of a weaker ending, but was really, I thought it was a really solid thing. It wasn't a super great romance, but like as a mystery, it was really good, I thought. So yeah, the mystery stuff in the series, all good. Hoping that season 2 does a little bit for it. I think hopefully it will.
I just hope after, because I think Ranger Reject will, it can end here in like a year. And I'm just hoping whatever Negi does after Ranger Reject, it doesn't pigeonhole him into more harem romances. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, we'll see. I would hope. I think that I don't know. I want to say that his audience would be better served if he did something, even if it was something that was more, action adventure oriented or whatever, that had a romance from the start. Because I think that if you go, oh, the Quintessential Quintuplets guy's doing another romance series, not necessarily a harem, right? Like maybe don't do a harem, just do a straight romance. I think maybe that would be better served. And honestly, like the kind of light romance stuff that's happened in Ranger, I thought has been pretty good, at least fun in a way. So yeah, we'll have to see.
But it's weird to even call that romance because I don't know if he feels romance.
Not really.
But there's just like a lot. No, you're right though. I love that part. I like everything about Ranger at the moment. So it's like disheartening to hear that nobody's clicking with it.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. The look back movie released in Japan in limited theaters and rave reviews. I saw a couple people talking about the look. This is the Tatsuki Fujimoto one shot, which was adapted. Seems like it's fantastic, and I'm excited for it to
we
hit
gotta
here.
watch that.
I think it's coming here to the States in probably a month or two. So
I wonder
I'll
how
have
you
to keep
make
an eye
that
out for it.
like. Is there extra content? How do you make that like an hour plus?
I mean, it's like a full volume of manga essentially, right? It's like 170, 180 pages. So I think it's probably like an hour and a half. It's probably not 2 hours long.
Yeah, but like a lot of those pages were like silent scenes, which I feel go faster in
Yeah.
the animated media.
I mean, from what I understand, it's beautifully animated. So I think that they
yeah.
slowed down and added some, animated
I-
the single panels to take some time. So
Either way, it sounds like they nailed it. I'm looking forward to it.
yep. Next up, we got. I don't know if I saw this was a leak or a tease or what, but the Witch Watch anime was being teased for next year. I think that was an inevitability. Yeah, same word. It's definitely inevitable that Witch Watch has been around for 4 years now, almost. Are we at 200 chapters of Witch Watch?
God damn.
I think we are.
Yeah. Well, good for Witch Watch. It is it is a very, very funny, maybe the best comedy gag manga running.
I need to get back and read more of it because I read 10 or 15 chapters and thought it was pretty good, but yeah, I need to get back and read more of it because I do think that's enjoyable. So and hopefully, and I think the anime, Weekly Shonen Jump goes all in on their anime. So
the good thing about Witch Watch is that it is wildly different week to week in that the author doesn't have a single gag. He gets creative with his gags. So you'll have like and it's like built into the story because the witch has like a bunch of different powers. So it changes like whatever the gag is every single week, and I think the author gets really creative with it. Like there's a few weeks where he talks about like the denim industry, and it's just like bizarrely funny.
yeah, it very much seems because this was a former assistant of the author of Gintama.
Gintama,
right?
yeah.
No, I can't remember that guy's name, but yeah, it feels very Gintama-esque from what I've seen. So
yeah, it's I think this is like as close as it could be to the spiritual successor of Sket Dance / Gintama.
Yep. So there you go. If you like Gintama, check out Witch Watch. We got some more casting for the One Piece live action. All of it looks really good. The biggest names here are Clive Russell, who is the actor who played the Blackfish in Game of Thrones as Crocus. And then we got David, and his last name is hard. David Desmalchian as Mr. 3. I think that's how you say that.
Which is Polka Dot Man.
Yes, Polka Dot Man. He was in The Dark Knight.
Casting.
Yeah, he's sort of a great actor. He's been leading man in some stuff more recently. He's kind of known for playing weirdos, which I think fits right in with Mr. 3. I'm excited for this. I think this next week we'll probably get one or all of Robin, Crocodile, and who else? Vivi and the reindeer person whose name is totally slipping my mind. Chopper. There you go.
You forgot Chopper?
I was like, what is the little reindeer man's name? I don't know. I never think about him. He's like, he has not done much in the last like 6 years of.
Yeah, to be fair, he's like, I'd say the least important Straw Hat.
Probably just by pure screen time. It's been after the time skip, probably, yeah. So
yeah, they just really don't have that much for him to do.
Yeah, but also an important part of this next season and an important part we talked about. If you want to check out, we have some videos on the channel where we discussed. We went through 2 episodes at a time of the live action and deep dived. In that last episode, we talked about season 2 a little bit, and how they were going to do Tony Chopper is definitely the big question. Is it a puppet? Is it all CGI? What is it going to be? But the actress they get to play Chopper is going to be. That'll be interesting. I wonder if they have that going yet. But yeah, Vivi, Crocodile, Robin, and Chopper have yet to be announced. So I think we definitely get some of those coming up soon. And those are all very important. The rumor that I've heard, I'll put it out here. The rumor that I've heard for Crocodile was, I told you who it was. And I know I forgot another name. Joe Manganiello.
Oh yeah.
Whose name I can't say. Manganiello? Joe Manganiello? I don't know. I'm bad with names.
He'd be a good fit.
I think that would be good. I think that's a big, pretty decently big kind of recognizable name to grab. I think he looks like Croc, so we'll see about that.
I don't know how you can do Chopper well. I still don't know. I think that the
it's
only
difficult.
victory they can get with Chopper is to make as few people angry about it as possible.
Yeah, I think that's probably. We'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't. We all said I don't know how they can make the gum fruit attacks look good, and they kind of did. So, there's
Yeah. I
not
just
all the time, but most of the time, right? Which is one of those like Chopper doesn't have to be great all the time, but most of the time he looks passable on screen. Then we'll be good.
I didn't think One Piece live action would work in the first place, so I hope
Yeah.
they can prove me wrong again.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. It's like, you know what? Neither of us thought that it would ever work, and it really worked pretty well. So I'll hopefully trust him on that. I do think Chopper is. I think it may be even harder than Luffy's fruit to put on screen. So we'll see.
I agree. It's way harder.
Yep. All right. Last thing on the news: rumors of a Sekiro anime adaptation have come out.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can put this to a 12-episode anime. Or 12 or 24 episodes.
I'd argue it's the only FromSoft game that you could maybe outside of Armored Core is like this is the only one you could maybe make an anime out of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like as far as stories being told, Sekiro is probably the best in FromSoft. Like inside the thing, it's still not great in my opinion, but it has enough of a structure there.
Yeah, but there's not much dialogue.
They would definitely have to add dialogue. I would think. I would think that there would be a lot of writing into the empty spaces. Because I mean, essentially, you play the game for 6 hours and then talk to people for a little bit, and then go and play the game for 6 hours. And there's probably less than 20 pages of dialogue in the whole game. So.
Yeah, I don't think Wolf himself says more than a handful of sentences, right?
Yeah, not a whole lot. He does a little bit, but not too.
Yeah,
much.
he all of his things are very one-word replies to people's questions.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we'll see how they do it. I would love it to just be a non-stop string of glorious fight animation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best case situation, but more realistically, I think we get I don't know, Sekiro backstory, maybe explanations of why Genichiro is so insane.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, again, I think this is a cool idea. I hope they can pull it off. My guess is that people will watch it will be like, well, just play the game. It's not, because the game is great.
Yeah.
This also maybe leads more credence. We'll talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about it next, I guess, because we're going to talk about, we'll talk about one more things here. Gautam, you've been playing, speaking of FromSoft, we have both played this.
Yeah, I've been playing the Elden Ring DLC. It's fucking spectacular. I think this is the best level design FromSoft has had. I love most of the bosses, barring one so far. I only have one left. I only have the final boss left, and I haven't done it or seen it. But yeah, I think it's fucking spectacular. I then went on the internet to see what other people's opinions were, and everyone was crying so hard.
It's a little mixed. I think the problem that people have is they expected, oh, I'm max level, I've done the whole base game, I'm going to come in and I'll be, the first half of the DLC I'll be really strong at, but they designed this DLC where it's you come in and you're essentially playing a whole new game. Like you come in and you are weak like you are at the start of the base game, and you have to explore and fight stuff and collect stuff to power up, and then you're strong enough to go and do things. People just didn't realize that there's just kind of a slightly different game design. It's really the same game design, but they're making you start over in the DLC. But yeah,
and this is just every FromSoft DLC. It's just hard.
Yeah, I think it's great though.
I think I learned that Elden Ring discourse is not worth it because there are people crying about it or people arguing that the people crying aren't skilled enough and they don't see the appeal, and it's like, don't. Just shut the fuck up, all of you. Just play the game. There's
also the issue, quote unquote, of Elden Ring is by far FromSoft's biggest game. It brought a ton of people in because it was much more accessible than a lot of their other games where, you were never locked behind a single boss and didn't have a way forward. You could always kind of go and explore, go and level up. So a lot more people got in and liked Elden Ring, and anyone who is more casual, and I think even some casual people, you could beat Elden Ring, right? It's because you can, like I said, you can level up. It's, you can go and explore other places if you can't get past a boss. A lot of them coming into a FromSoft DLC where it's just harder. It's just straight harder. That's all the DLCs are like that. those people I think were in for a bit of a shock and maybe came back with this is too hard. So
Yeah, I wanted to put no effort in, but still feel results.
Yep.
Okay, I have like a very specific side and take on this. That is divisive. So feel free to shit on me for that. But either way, I think it's a really good DLC.
it's great. I agree with you that the actual design of the map and world is the design of the world is great. I do think the map could. I have this weird. I'll put my one critique in here. We don't have to talk about this too long. My big critique of this is that in the original Elden Ring, you could look at the map and you could always see like, oh, there's a point of interest here. There's a thing over here, and it almost never like had stuff covered that like if you didn't see it on the map, it was like under somewhere. Like there were caves and stuff that were hidden, but that was about it, right? If there was a ruins or whatever, it was all on the map. I love the design of the world in Shadow of the Erdtree, but the problem is it makes the map like essentially useless because there's so much stuff that's either above or below that you can't see, which kind of is frustrating in that usually if you were like, okay, I don't know where to go, let me open up the map. And oh, there's ruins over here. There's a tower here. There's a thing here. You could see them on the map and you could go to them in the original Elden Ring. And in this one, it's sort of like, well, I can see that area on my map, but I have no idea how to get there. There's like nothing hinting me. There's no anything on the map to like tell me how to get there. And I think that's like kind of just a trade-off they made, I guess. I think that there was a way for them to have 2 or 3 levels of a map, and that way that their level design of the overworld could fit in, and you could go and look and see, oh, I see that path seems to connect through here, and there's a thing here I can go to. But instead, you just get a map where it's like all the lower levels are just like mostly covered up, and so you don't just
You're
just
right.
can't see.
It doesn't account for the verticality in this game's design specifically.
Yeah, which I think to me that kind of I really liked about the original game. I really liked that you could go to the map and look and see, oh, I need to go here. Or this looks like it connects there. I liked that. So having that kind of be more frustrating in the expansion kind of bothered me a little bit, but it's still great. The story stuff. We'll talk about the lore at some point. It was amazing. But
yeah. I had a great time with it.
It's great. Cool. I went to my local manga shop and I got Tatsuki Fujimoto's Before Chainsaw Man 17 to 21, and I got the other one, which is I think 22 to 24, 25. It's like,
is this a book or a manga?
Yeah, this is a manga. This is 22 to 26. Yeah, this is I think it's 4 short stories, 4 one-shots essentially that he wrote before he had done. It's called Before Chainsaw Man, but before he did Fire Punch also.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, and they're all I'd only ever read, I read Fire Punch, Chainsaw Man, Look Back, Goodbye Eri. I think all of them are fantastic. This just proves to me again that, Fujimoto is not a fluke. He's not, he's always been pretty good at what he does.
Right.
Even these which are very kind of, nubile and introductory and starting out stuff. It's like, they still have his style. They still have his sensibilities. They still have his kind of cinematic type stuff. They still have his weird style. And they're honestly all like really good. Like I'm reading all of them. Like I'm into everything in here. So everything in here is good. And these are like the first 4 things he ever wrote. So at least professionally or semi-professionally. So yeah, this is great. I'm excited to read the next one coming up soon. So these are really good. I
That's cool. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, I heard about them. I think a year or 2 ago. These got published, and I saw them at the local Kinokuniya. So I grabbed them.
Nice. Let us know how the next one is.
Yeah, I'll bring it next week and we'll see. Cool. Anything else? Are we good to get out of here?
Yeah, let's bail.
Let's get out. Thanks again, everybody, for listening or watching it. Don't forget to leave us feedback, like, subscribe, ring that bell, leave us a comment, all that jazz. Let us know how you feel about the 2 Exorcist manga today, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi and Shiba Inu Rooms, kind of an Exorcist manga. Check out Twitter and Patreon, link in the description. Thank you for being with us yet again this week.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga.